How's it going, Ricky?
It's going well. How about for yourself, Gary?
Man, I'm doing great. So, you got quite a story, and that's what we're doing here. We're talking about people's testimonies and stuff, and you had told me your story sometime back, and it impressed me to actually, to do this, to get this on video and record it for other people to hear, because I think it's important for other people to hear the testimonies of people.
Yeah.
And so, were you born an Adventist?
No.
Were you born did your mom raise you Christian?
No. Well, my great-great-grandmother, she was a Christian. She died when I was just little, and I guess I was her favorite, grandchild. I called her Grandma Grape. I don't know. That's what. And I remember her house, and I always remember a picture of Jesus kneeling at this rock. And I don't know, I was just little. I had to be like 3 years old, but I still remember the picture. And I remember she'd always give me raisins.
And so, how was it growing up? Did you have a good household? Was your mom, was she a good mom? Was your dad a good dad? Were they split up?
My mom and my dad got a divorce when I was 1, so I didn't really know who my dad was at that time. And my mom and Kenny, my stepdad, were together. And we lived in Rawlins, Wyoming. I remember parts of that. Living there, I was just little. I remember like my brother got ran over. He was going down this hill on his bicycle, and he got, I don't know exactly, I wasn't there. I was just with the babysitter, and I know we had to go rush and go get him, and I just remember blood being everywhere.
Oh,
and I was just
did it kill him?
No, it didn't kill him. No, it didn't kill him. But
well, you were just telling me about your brother a minute ago. Yeah, so apparently he's still alive,
yeah,
and he's
still alive.
But he wasn't maimed or anything by that?
He was for a while. He had 2 broken legs and stuff like that. Yeah, he was. But that's as kind of really as far as I remember being there in Rawlins. Then we moved to Casper when I was probably about 4, 5, and was my mom and my stepdad, Kenny. My mom was a waitress, and she waited tables at the Sky King, which is the airport in Casper. And then my stepdad, he was a tool pusher on the rigs, and he was always gone. So
was he a good stepdad?
He was good by supporting us. We always, had like new cars and, all right clothes, new clothes and stuff. We weren't suffering by any means that way, but he was never there. He was never, ever there. I mean, we'd see him maybe, I don't know, a couple days a month, maybe.
Did you ever know your real dad?
At that time, no. Later on, yeah, I came to...
About what age was that?
About 11, 12. But anyway, my mom, she used to go to the bars all the time because Kenny, I guess, he was never there. My brother, he was 6 years older than me, and he was supposed to watch, me and my little sister. I had a little sister, Tina, and that was Kenny and Mom's baby. And my mom, she'd go to the bar with her friend, and Danny was supposed to watch us, and he wouldn't. As soon as Zelda and Mom would go out to the bar, because they'd always take Mom's car because she had the nicest car, because Kenny always made sure of that. And Danny and his friends would hotwire Zelda's car. So while they were off at the bar, Danny and his friends were doing who knows what in Zelda's car.
Getting into a ton of mischief.
Oh, yeah, they were getting into tons of mischief. That's the way it was for a long time. I mean, I remember going to my friends, my little sister. Now I look at it, she had no one, She was just a little baby, run around. I remember I tried to get away from her because I just wanted to be with my friends. And I remember my friend's mom saying, "Hey, Ricky, your sister's here again." And then she's at the door naked, going, icky, icky.
Icky.
Well, that's what she called it. She was like little.
Yeah. She couldn't pronounce the R.
Yeah, and that was our life for a long time. Then my mom, I guess she met this guy at the bar. His name was Con, and they got together. And Con came into the picture. He seemed like a really nice guy. They were drinking, but, at least my mom was here now. Then, they would do these, games with us. Like, they'd put money in a bag and throw it in, like, a bucket of water, and we'd stick our heads in there and grab whatever bag with our teeth. And he would either, we could either keep that bag of money or else he would give us what's in his hand, kind of thing. So, and that went on for a little bit. It didn't last long like that. After Mom left Kenny, got a divorce from Kenny, and there was a big scene there too. Mom got with Con, and then Con became really possessive, really us kids, we weren't allowed to have any friends or anything like that. We had to get our head shaved, and back then it was like in the 70s where long hair was the thing.
It was vogue for sure.
Oh yeah, and
So what was the reason for the shaving of the hair? Just easier for your mom?
No, that was Con.
Oh, that was Con.
Just Con, yeah.
Was he military or something?
Yeah, totally military. Yeah,
Okay.
totally military. He wasn't raised. He didn't have a good family background or whatever. Some mean things happened to him, and he was mean back. And everything was military. We had to have our heads shaved. Danny didn't go for it for long. He kept running away, and finally they sent him to Dad and my stepmother's house. So Danny was gone. He was kind of like our only refuge, but anyway, yeah, so Con would take us out. I don't know. He was a mean guy. He was a drunk, but he was kind of cool when he'd start, just catching a buzz with the alcohol.
You'd get a buzz on, yeah, and then he'd be like super nice. But then after the evening wore on,
then
the fireworks would begin.
I mean, it was cool because he would take us camping and fishing where we never got to do that before, like with Kenny or anything like that, So it was kind of cool, but then, like he'd get drunk, and once he'd get drunk, then he'd start calling my mom's all kinds of cuss words, nasty, not nice words, and then start beating her up and stuff. And like I remember me and my sister many times, not just one time, but going down mountain roads doing like 120 and he's all fighting with her, pounding on her, and me and Tina down on the floor. We would pray. We knew how to pray, and we did pray to God that.
So you guys were in the car with your mom and Con.
And Con's driving. My mom. She's
hitting your mom, and he's driving too fast.
Oh, way too fast.
And he's drunk.
Yeah.
And you guys are in the back seat, sensing that you're in some serious trouble.
Yeah, we know. I mean, we're seeing the cliffs on the side. We know what speed we're going. We know what's going there.
And how old were you at this point?
Oh, I'd have to say around 7.
So 8. Your older brother was out of the picture, or was he still in the picture?
He was out of the picture.
Okay.
He got into trouble. He got himself into trouble. Then he got sent to my dad's, and then he got sent to my grandma and grandpa's. So then he got sent to reform school, and he was, because he liked stealing. We stole, when Danny and when Mom was with Kenny, it was like I never went to school because I don't know. I wanted to be like my brother. He was the only role model that I had, and he did drugs. He skipped school, and he did all that. And I remember we would go underneath the trailer house. Danny would go into Mom's room, shut off her phone, or unplug the cord, then go in the kitchen, shut off the ringer. Then me and him would go underneath the trailer house and wait until my mom would go off to work. Then she'd go off to work. Then boom, we'd come out. Then my brother and his friends would come meet at the house and smoke weed. And they'd have me do it and see how big a bong hit I could take.
And how old were you?
I was right around 7, 6.
And you were taking hits off a bong.
Oh yeah, and drinking because we
wow.
drank too, and because I wanted to do anything I could to impress my brother.
Sure.
He was my, I don't know, the only thing.
Well, you probably got some positive feedback too for doing these things in front of your brother.
Well, I was cool. They all thought, oh yeah, look at how big a bong hit he could take and stuff. And yeah, I got, I just wanted to be accepted by my brother, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And but anyway, so we'd wait till Mom would be gone, then we'd come out and do all that. And but then my brother and his friends would go leave, then I'd be just kind of left there. It's like, oh, what do I do?
Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, and this, I remember in the second grade, it was like in the second grade, I got held back because I think I only went to school, like, it was only like 14 days in the whole school year. And my brother, he was smart. He'd get the mail and all that stuff. He was smart to everything that was going on. So there was nothing, they didn't know, my, Mom didn't know until we got the report cards, last year report cards or whatever. And then I don't know how she found out, but she found out, well, because I felt. And but anyway, when I remember they'd leave and I'd go to school, and I remember going to a place called, it was Vickers. It was a drugstore, and I'd go buy like those string licorices, that rope licorice, and I'd go in the alleyway and I'd watch all the kids playing in the school. And I wish that I was there. It was
in school.
In school, yeah, playing with all my friends, yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But anyway.
So you were introduced into drugs at very young.
Oh, yeah, right around, like I said, 5, 6.
And at what age did it start to get out of control for you?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of doing it with, Danny all the time, whenever then.
Did your mom know about it?
Later on, she found out about it, yeah. And, they got me high because they used to like me to get high because I'd be kind of weird. And I'd be like, oh, this is a big spaceship. I'd go, probably my imagination was out there. So, I was a trip. I was kind of made their trip because I was tripping. They just thought it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you did this with your brother until...
Oh, until Con. I kind of backed up in the story. I'm sorry. It's just...
No, it's all right.
But anyway, yeah, until Mom got with Con, then he got in the picture. Danny ran away, got sent to Dad's, and then later Grandma's. So anyway, then, I wasn't doing anything then, except for drink. They'd let me drink,
Your mom and Con would give you like a beer every now and then or something?
Yeah, I could drink that, a beer, and then when they're all partying, they went through...
They lose track, and they're doing their thing, and then you're over there.
Yeah, because they had wine. They were drinking wine a lot, and it tasted pretty good, yeah. So kids would drink the wine.
Really? As a kid, you thought wine tasted good?
Yeah, I really did. Well,
wow.
my mom, she'd get the cheap wine. I forget the name of it. It was like Spinata or something like that. That actually tasted good.
It actually had some sugar or something in it.
It wasn't a bitter wine. It wasn't no high class wine by any means.
All right. This sounds familiar because my mom, when she split up with my dad, she got with my stepdad, and he was a drinker, and that was never allowed in the house, and all of a sudden now it was, and so. Here she is drinking and stuff, and yeah, they would be doing their thing, and I'd be like, oh, a bottle of, take a few shots off of it. Nobody knew, Well, they didn't even care though, they didn't. Oh, they didn't care. But anyway, it didn't matter because Con and Mom, it'd always end up in a fight. Gosh, he would get drunk and started calling her all kinds of names, and he used to beat her so bad. She would have bald spots all over her head, black eyes, or big fat lips and stuff. And I just remember she would take it, and he'd call her the most horrible names.
I would try to stand up for her, but I was little, I would try. Then he'd come after me, and he's, kind of scary, drunk guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, he would, well, when he'd do that, I would usually take off, and I'd go run to a neighbor's, one of my friends or something, and have their parents call the cops. The cops would come. But they never ever did anything. He was crazy. He'd take everything and just flip it over and everything. I mean, like the washer and dryer, boom, it's going out. It's going down the stairs. The refrigerator, the freezer, I remember having a little Black Panther like figurine, and I took it, I had these little sparkly green eyes, and I took it, and I'm like, this is one thing that he's not going to destroy. And I hid it so he could never get it.
Yeah. So that was your way of gaining at least a small portion of control back in your life.
I don't know. I just know I wanted.
You had to have something that was set aside, at least was sacred in your life that nobody could touch.
Yeah, I guess.
And so maybe psychologically you were doing the same things. You were setting part of your psyche aside too, where it wouldn't be allowed to be touched. And so how long did I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but but it's funny the things that kids do, when they're under a lot of stress like that, and the little things that they the little actions that they take, kind of belie something much larger that's going on mentally in their head. But so how long was he actually with you guys?
Well, quite a while. I mean, it seemed like forever is what it seemed like to me. I know it was in the second grade, and I know I ended up meeting my dad when I was in the fourth grade. Mm-hmm. So at least from second to fourth. And then
did you live with your dad at that point, or?
In fourth grade, yeah, I did for a little bit. Then there was a custody battle. Then my dad actually did get custody of me, and I lived with them for a while. And yeah, then I ended up missing my mom. You know what I mean?
Sure. Then moved back with her for a while.
I ran away. They kidnapped me. We had plans. I made plans with my mom.
This was behind your real dad's back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And Gloria's. And
I see. What was the house like in your real dad? Was that more structured? What was it like?
Well, it was new. It was new, and there was 5 girls there, and 2 of them older. They're all cute, and they're all they were good looking. I mean, they were good looking. They're like, oh, look at you, you're so cute, and you're giving me all this attention, I loved it. It was awesome.
This was his stepdaughters, right?
Yeah, his stepdaughters, yeah.
Or your stepsisters,
yeah, my
anyways.
Stepsisters, yeah. But I didn't know them until then, and they were older and cute girls,
Sure.
I don't know, it was just like, but anyway, then Dad gave me a motorcycle and stuff, so it was like, wow, this is awesome, yeah, so we got away from, Dad and Gloria got custody over me. But like I said, later on, I miss my mom. Then, Gloria would say things about my mom, and I would, hear them, and I would take it to heart because I loved my mom.
Sure. Yeah, so you would feel obligated to stand in defense over your mom.
Yeah, I loved my mom, and I just wanted to be with her. And I guess I was worried, she was with Con, her and my little sister with Con. He wasn't a nice guy. I mean, I remember I always had to have my sister home like at 3:35. If I didn't, I got whipped. And when I got whipped, it meant I had to take my pants down, my underwear down, and I grabbed my ankles. Then he'd go with the leather belt, and he went to town. Then when he'd go to spank her and stuff, I always remember, she was always naked, and it never really popped into my head. But I just remember that I always was jealous because I know the whipping I just took, and it's like, and here she's on his lap and she's squirming and he's not really spanking her, just acting like he is. It wasn't until later on when my mom died and stuff like that, my little sister, lashed out on me saying he was molesting me this whole time and you were watching him. And I didn't. I was just watching. I was a little kid.
Yeah, how could you be held accountable for that? I mean, yeah, you had the mind of innocence.
But she didn't know because she was a little kid and her mind was.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just thinking, wow, how come she's not getting beat like I got beat?
What's your relationship like with your sister now?
We love each other, but we're
distant.
Yeah, very distant.
Yeah.
We love each other. We know what we've been through. I mean, I can never really explain to you guys everything that we went through. We didn't have a good life.
Yeah, no, sounds like it.
I mean, with Con, he didn't work, and we weren't allowed friends. Mom worked, though. He had mom work. A lot of times we went to the grocery stores and went dumpster diving, to get food and stuff like that. For the milk, we'd get the milk, then take, because they're all thrown away, have expiration dates, and we'd take it back to the store and say, well, this has an expiration date, so we'd get other milk and, do things like put change in the paper machine to take out all the papers and go to the bars to go sell the papers, to get money for food and whatever and stuff. They used to have us do that kind of stuff. But, where was I going with this?
Yeah, that was a rough life, man, especially for a kid, and you were still pretty young when you were doing this dumpster diving and all this other stuff. And, and then, you have all these men coming in and out of your mom's lives.
It was mainly Con. It was mainly Con. He was a very jealous guy. I mean, he was a very jealous guy. If she talked to any guy, she is automatically doing something with him.
Right.
And he'd get guns out and crazy things like that, and start shooting up everything.
Do you ever keep track of this guy? Did he just kind of fade into the woodwork?
The last I heard by his cousins or his nephews was that. He went to, is it Warm Springs in Wyoming? I think where is it in Wyoming? There was a place for the mentally, and they call it a crazy house. Is it in Worland? I forget, but
I'm not familiar.
There was a psychiatric ward. He got out of it in Wyoming. I forget where, maybe Worland or something like that. Then they said that I don't know. They said that he stopped at a stop sign, and there was a lady in the car behind him, and he gets out of his car, goes over to her car, opens her door, and just starts beating her up. I mean, he was a nutcase. I mean, he was something. My mom, she'd always go back. I mean, that's actually how we got to Livingston, is because of the neighbor. Went to jail because Con thought that mom was sleeping with the neighbor. He took the gun out, the 30-30, started pointing at the guy's truck, at the trailer, started shooting it in the air, and finally the cops came. Then Con takes the 30-30 and he lays down out in the road I don't know what the heck. But anyway, they took him away. That was a good excuse for Mom to take us all, and we went to Montana.
So was that it with Con?
No. This was many times that the same scenario happened. That was the only chance that we'd be able to get away from him, but it only lasted until he got out of jail. Then he would find us wherever we were. Then
good grief,
he'd be back in the picture again.
Of course, it'd probably be, I'm sorry, this
and that,
blah, blah,
then
blah.
They'd go in the bedroom and boom, and everything's all hunky-dory again.
Yeah, a couple days later, it's back to the old same old business.
Always continues.
Yeah, so it was the quintessential abusive relationship. Yeah, in every respect. But so fast forward a little bit. Yeah. You move out. Yeah. What age was that?
When I moved in with my dad?
No, when you were independent.
Oh, when I was independent?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this first.
I guess probably 19. I lived with my brother and his wife for a while.
Okay,
for a long time. And we, smoked pot and drank and stuff like that.
But nothing hard.
Nothing really hard. Oh, actually, crud. Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, I guess I should mention this. I forgot all about that. Yeah, I probably should. My brother, I remember I was living in Casper with my mom, and she was back with Kenny now. This is boom, boom, boom.
So she had left Con.
Finally got rid of Con.
She's back with Kenny.
She's back with Kenny.
Your stepdad.
My stepdad.
All right.
And we're in Casper. I left Dad and Gloria's to come, actually move with Danny and Bev, which was my brother, and with them. Then I moved in with Mom again, and we're at Kenny's in Casper. Anyway, later on, Danny, I remember I was like 14. I was like in the 7th grade. I think 6th or 7th grade at that time. And my brother, he came to me, and we were at his wife's parents' house, and he goes, "You want to get high?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to get high." He goes, "No, do you really want to get high?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I really want to get high, He's like, "I'm only doing this with you because I know you're going to do it sooner or later, and I want you to know the right way to do it." And I'm like, "Okay." And then we go into the bathroom, and he got out a spoon, and he got out a little baggie, and it was Crystal from California, so he rigged up a big old bump, and I put my arm out there, and he gave it to me, and I remember, bing, I was like, dun, 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 dun. I felt like I was Superman. It was like the best thing ever. It was like I was on top of the world. It was awesome. And I was 14 when that happened.
You were 14 years old.
Yeah.
You took your first bump.
Yeah, I took my first bump when I was 14. Then later on, my brother was kind of ornery. He wasn't a nice little. There was so many things that I could go on about my brother, what he did, but he's not a nice guy. But anyway, I was sleeping, I remember one time, and I woke up rushing. And this was probably the second time I did it. He shot me up while I was sleeping.
Oh, no.
Yeah, woke me up.
My goodness.
Yeah. That actually happened to me another time besides that time. I had a friend do the same thing to me.
Shot you up while you're sleeping?
Oh, yeah. While I was
what are these people thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's important for them to see you high.
I guess so. I don't know. But
or maybe, misery loves company, or what's,
I don't know. My brother was always kind of weird that way. Like when I was staying with him, we were staying in Texas for a little bit.
Yeah. And just to be clear, this was methamphetamines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, meth. But anyway, I'm sure you don't want to hear about my brother was kind of weird. I remember we lived in Texas when I stayed with him and his wife for a little bit. He'd get like the biggest, ugliest bug that he could find. And because I was sleeping on their couch, and he'd put it on my face and let it crawl over my face and stuff like that. So one time he was just, he was a big brother, that way.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I woke up, I felt like my foot was on fire, and he was laughing. He had the lighter held to my toe, he said, for about 5 minutes before I finally even flinched or whatever. That's my brother. That's just my brother, just so you know. There's all kinds of stories we could go about my brother. But
Sure. Yeah. That might be a part 2.
Yeah, that might be a part 2.
Yeah. So you're, so at what point did you feel like you became addicted? Or, you probably didn't even realize it at first. You probably just wanted
I wasn't. My friends at school, we knew this one guy that was a junkie, and I know they talked bad about him. So I wasn't a junkie after those two. I didn't do it.
Sure.
We smoked weed, me and my friends, and we drank all the time, but we, didn't do that. It wasn't until I was about 19.
So you had gotten high a couple times, and then
then
you just walked away and left it all behind. You didn't think about it again.
No. Well, I thought about it, but I wasn't going to.
Because of the bad You were thinking, I didn't want to be like this guy over here.
Yeah, I knew how my friends were talking about the guy that was doing it and stuff.
Yeah.
But then somehow I got into it again when I was 19, and I can't really exactly recall how, to tell you the truth. But I know it was like from 19 to 29, I know it was almost continuously. You know, I would have to leave. I remember me and Wanda, I moved in with my brother and his wife in Casper another time. And my brother, that's how. And he got some good stuff, and he had some good stuff. Then he'd shoot me up, you know, then boom, boom. Then I remember we did this horse needle this one time. It was outside. We did in Bev's uncle's camper.
What's a horse needle?
A regular horse syringe.
You used a horse syringe because you didn't have a hypodermic?
And dude, I remember it was so... He rigged it up and we did it, and it was like boom, and it was like, I don't know, 30 below outside, and we're out with our shirts off because we're just sweating, pouring sweat, you know. It was like, I don't know, it was one of the best. It was pretty good. He'd rigged me up some pretty good pumps, and that's when I started again. I forgot about that. And after that, I remember I was staying with him and Bev. Then I remember he would get me high downstairs, but then he would go upstairs and talk stuff about me, like, oh, he needs help and all this other. Because I remember they had the furnace and you could hear.
Oh, boy.
And I heard in their bedroom, and Bev's talking about how bad I am, and Danny's agreeing and all this other stuff. But then he comes in, then shoots me up. He's the one giving it. It was insane. You know what I mean?
Do you think this was really him talking, or could this have been like an imagination in your head?
I'm pretty sure it was them talking.
Because I remember my dad, when he was heavy on the methamphetamines, he would sit there and be staring at the TV for hours sometimes, and he would swear up and down that they were talking to him through the TV and they were watching us.
Yeah.
And the paranoia was pretty big. And it wasn't until years later, and I know you recognize this now, but it wasn't until years later that he realized the demons, he had opened some doors and demons were actually talking to him.
Oh, I know, yes.
In his mind.
Yes. And perhaps you could be right.
Yeah. So then you had about 10 years of heavy use. What was...
Yeah.
And then now tell me about that. You were in a car. You were.
Oh, when I got my Trans Am, when God showed me He was there, because I always believed in God. And there's parts that I'm missing out, of course, Carrie. You know, like how when I went with Dad and Gloria, I went to church a couple times, Pentecostal, and I remember. My stepmom always talking to Brother Baker at the time, saying, why do we worship on Sunday instead of Saturday when Saturday is the true Sabbath? You know, those little things like that stuck in my mind.
Who's Brother Baker?
He was a Pentecostal pastor.
And he would ask the question.
No, Gloria, my stepmother, would ask him the question. Well, why do we worship on Sunday anyway when Saturday is the true Sabbath? And he never knew how to answer it. He'd get so frustrated, his face, he'd get sweat. You'd see it turning red. And,
oh, boy.
And I don't know. That always sucks. There's so much of this story I'm missing out.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, but for the sake of time, we have to cut, you know, maybe we'll do some, I mean, we're going to have to do some more talking about this in the future. We're going to do a part 2, part 3, who knows what.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a lot more of this out of you. But yeah, but, you know, so here you are, you're 29 years old, you're in this car. You've had some exposure to Christianity, you know, through Pentecostal, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then these questions are arising in your mind about the Sabbath and stuff. And I believed in God. You know, to think about it, I believed in God. I always believed in God. I always did. I didn't have the truth, and I did read the Bible. I mean, I remember I used to listen to Iron Maiden, you know, Megadeth, and Metallica, AC/DC, and all that stuff, you know, in front of my friends and, you know, in front of everyone. But I would go and read the Bible by myself. Whenever I was alone.
Okay.
But I didn't let no one know that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be an embarrassing thing to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for some reason that we think that shows like a weakness or something.
Well, then you grew up when I did. You know how everyone is into Satan, and it was all about Satan, and you know. You made fun of people who worshiped God.
Yeah, that's kind of the era. Yours and my era was kind of the era when Satan kind of came out on the forefront because, it was hidden in music prior to that. It was hidden in everyday conversation. I mean, people didn't openly profess to be Satan worshipers. Even in my time, they didn't openly profess it, but in the music, it started to be more and more apparent. Yeah, like Iron Maiden.
It was totally satanic.
Yeah. And I remember... not Def Leppard, but who's the Jimmy Page?
Motley Crue or
no, Jimmy Page. What was his band?
Why can't I think?
The song "Stairway to Heaven."
Yeah. Led Zeppelin,
of course. And so, and I remember playing that backwards. There was a teacher in our school that actually played it backwards to the kid. To the kids, he was kind of trying to explained to us the evils of rock and roll, and there was some real audible stuff that you could kind of hear there, about worshiping Satan and stuff. But yeah,
about
to play
a woman, she was actually on she was prostituting her, and she was actually on the highway to hell.
Yeah. Well, but when you play it backwards,
backwards.
Yeah, when you play it, you could actually audibly hear like words. And we would try to write the words down and make out what it was saying, and different people have different ideas about exactly what it's saying.
Yeah, but, that's what I always heard of that anyway. I don't know.
But I mean, but then as time progressed, and it wasn't much after our generation that they just openly started, like the Rolling Stones came out with Sympathy for the Devil, and had that whole song, what's that one song called Who Am I?
Yeah, I know the song you're talking about.
And it's got that little music in the video. It's just, this is a cool song.
Where were you or something?
Yeah, when the bodies stank on the battlefields, this and that. And
well, all of our music, though, look at it. We had Black Sabbath. We had...
Oh, yeah.
All of ours
there was some
really
heavy-duty stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You got pentagrams on the album covers of everything, of Dio,
and the open, just the paint, the face, I mean, openly evil.
Yeah, it was totally, that was us kids, us teenagers, right? I remember it was in my school. That was the cool thing. I mean, I remember 666 painted everywhere, pentagrams painted, in the alleys, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Prior to that wasn't really a thing. Not that I'm aware of, anyways. I don't remember seeing that stuff when I was real little. But
no, I didn't when I was real little. It was when I was a teenager.
But it was kind of, the classical rock stuff had all those elements in it, but it was sort of cloaked.
Yeah.
And then the hard rock came out, and it was out, and it was in your face.
Yeah, I think Black Sabbath probably brought that in, and after that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just a snowball ride.
But anyway, I got money from the Livingston Police Department. I had a lawsuit against them about that. That's another long story. But anyway, I got some money. I bought myself a Trans Am, and I bought myself an ounce of meth, and I'm doing this. I'm twisted, because I'm twisted. I've been high for so long anyway, and I'm getting this, 2 big old bags like that, and I'm just boom, boom, and I would do these pictures. I'd draw these pictures of pentagrams and all of the satanic kind of stuff, and you could turn these pictures around. I can't draw normally, but these pictures would be so dark, and you could have pictures. It was weird. It was weird. It was satanic and dirty and all that other crap.
Your mind was very depraved at this point.
Yeah, sick. It was sick and twisted. And but anyway, to make a long story short, I'm listening to Pantera, Cowboys from Hell, and I'm driving in Livingston. I actually had Pantera, Cowboys from Hell T-shirt on with the devil, with Satan, with the brand with 666 on it and stuff. And I had a black cap, said Defiant, black and stuff. And I'm driving my car, I'm doing these shots, and I'm listening to this, just pounding it, and you could hear it. And I'm going through Livingston, and I'm seeing all these cowboys, and you kind of had that picture of hell, and they're all looking like, yeah, we are the cowboys from hell, and it was weird. Then there was like kind of a cloud going everywhere I was driving, boom, boom. Then there was construction, like barricades, and I'm driving, and I'd pull over. This is how weird, and I'm listening to this stuff, and I'd pull over, and I'd rig up a big old bump. Then I'd do that bump. Then I'd rig up another bump. Then I'd do that bump. Then boom, I'd go in my Trans Am with the music cranked and just driving like a crazy maniac, right? And that's when that cloud, that light was coming. And I noticed all these people following me. I don't know if they were, who knows, law enforcement or whatever. I don't really know, but I know they're following me. And I know that these barricades that I'm going to are leading me somewhere, and I end up being at Mayor's Landing. I don't know. It's in Livingston, a place in Livingston.
Okay.
By the river.
Yep.
And I get out of my car, and I look up above, and there's this big grayish cloud like in the middle, and it has eyes going crazy all around it. I mean, I've been high for, quite some time. Then I look to the left-hand side of me, and above the crazy mountains, there were these red clouds, and they looked like individual devil clouds with their eyes going crazy. And one edging, kind of, it's an army of devil clouds, and the one's just edging to go at that cloud in the middle. Then that cloud in the middle goes over the sleeping giant, and it goes over the sleeping giant and makes a big cross. Then it comes back down, comes right back down to the middle. And there's that one devil cloud still edging to go out that cloud in the middle. And I'm like, I don't know. I knew enough to believe in God then to drop to my knees and thinking, because at that time I thought I was the devil. I was so twisted. I thought no one loved me. No one cared for me. Throughout my whole life, I must be the devil. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was going at. And I'm like, well, if I am, I'm going to go all the way. But when it came right down to it, and I knew the Lord was right there, I dropped to my knees. I'm like, Lord, please forgive me, for I've sinned. And when I asked for forgiveness, I looked across that river, and there was a tree shaped just like a cross. And all the people around me, they were talking like demons, and saying all kinds of foul
But you were no longer in your car at this point.
No, I was outside. This whole time I was outside. When I got out of my car,
I see.
That's when I saw that cloud.
I see.
I wasn't still in my car.
But then you have people like observing you?
Those people who were following me, they all got out too. They all parked along the side.
Probably because you're driving erratic or something, maybe?
No, they all parked at the same place that I was at.
Okay.
And got out. And
so you don't care who's watching. You're on your knees out here crying out to God.
I didn't care because I know this is judge. I knew enough that this was God, and I'm thinking I'm the devil. I'm like, Lord, please forgive me for what I done. I don't want to die. I know you're bigger and badder than me. And I knew deep down inside that I wasn't. I was just, you know what I mean. I don't know.
Well, you were in a state of highly intoxicated.
For years, for like 10
years, but then, especially in this last few days since you had you'd gotten your money, and you're driving around in your Trans Am. I mean, I'm
shooting up left and right. I mean, I did like that ounce. I shared with some people, but pretty much within 3 weeks by myself. That's a lot of dope. I remember rigging up these big old bumps, and I'm like, this one's going to kill me. And I couldn't stop myself. I had to take it, I had to do it, and I would do it.
Yeah. So at that point, though, did you just stop everything cold turkey? At that point,
I had a little bit of dope left, and I hid it somewhere. And I was... There's a whole long story that goes with this because I went to go find that. I wanted to find that tree that was shaped like a cross because I was going to worship at it, because I didn't know. I knew God, but I didn't know the truth. So I went into the river, the spillway of the river, because there's an overflow there, and the river was flooded at that time. And I go to baptize myself in Jesus' name, because I knew what I thought. I knew the mark of the beast. This is what was in my head had happened, and I believed that everyone had the mark of the beast, and everyone else was taken up secretly into heaven. You know what I mean? I'm left here, and there's some kind
Somehow this secret rapture idea got stuck in your head back then.
Yeah, it did. So that was there. And I'm like,
no doubt the Pentecostal preacher had something to do with that.
Yeah, sure. But I tell you what, I knew who to bow down to, and I knew who to ask for forgiveness.
You knew where to go.
I did.
That's amazing.
And, I went to go, after I baptized myself in the water, there was like this stick, when I was going in there. It was coming out like a snake. It looked like a snake at me. And I remember thinking, I don't care. I have no fear. God is right there. And I just went in. Then as soon as I went in, it backed off. It went off. I baptized myself in the name Lord Jesus Christ. I got out of the water, and I walked all the way to where that bridge was, to cross the bridge to get onto the other side of the river. Seemed like there was trails of 6s and 7s, all intertwined. Later on, I kind of think God was talking to me, or I know, I don't know. I just.
Well, it's proof to me that even in a very highly deranged state of mind, God is still able to get through to us.
I mean, because he did. He made
because
himself
he did.
known,
I mean, this was a big turning point for you.
A big turning point. And I swear, I could have took a camera and took a picture of it, and it would have came up on that picture. That's how real it was. I've done drugs all my life. I know what, the shadow people are. But I know what reality is too. You know what I mean?
The shadow people. That's funny that you say that. I've never really been hooked on meth. I don't really savvy that experience. But everybody I knew was.
Yeah.
And there was the shadow people. What's that?
Oh yeah, and they're into things. They're into.
But this wasn't that. This was an entirely different experience.
This is totally no shadow. It's real. This is real.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that way, trying to find that cross, there were trails intertwined of 6s and 7s. The 6s I could tell were like cow prints, with their foot. The 7s I don't know how, but they were, and they're all there. And I'm going from 6s to 7s, 7s to 6s, 7s, to 6s, back to 6s, and I never found that tree. It wasn't until later on in life, because I went to God. That was my starting point. I quit everything. And I was good, like for 6 months. I was good, but then I was lonely, and I started missing all my friends at the bar, and I went back again. And I realize this now, that I've went to God, to the devil, to God, to the devil, to God, to the devil, all in search.
Do you think you were on a path that whole time?
I think so.
Looking back.
Yeah, I don't think I had to make that path. I think I chose to make that path.
You could have took a much straighter path.
Yeah, it would have been so much better. It would have been so much better.
So much easier.
Yes.
Yeah. But nevertheless, the way your mind was and the way your thinking was, this back and forth, God was still with you the whole time.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
It kind of hurts,
Yeah.
It hurts because... I don't know. He's been there for me when I totally turned my back on him.
Yeah.
He loves us, Carrie. You know what I mean? And I wish I would have never ever been a coward like when I was young, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, all listening to that crap. I wish I would have stood up for the Lord, tall and strong, I wish I would have never ever gave Satan the glory that I did through my addiction, But I was helpless. I couldn't do nothing about it. I remember rigging up these bumps, and I couldn't stop myself. I remember I knew I was going to die a junkie, and I couldn't do nothing about it. I couldn't stop.
You were a brand plucked from the fire.
Amen.
That verse really takes meaning when you...
Dude, I knew it was going to happen. He saved me. Yes, that's crazy. I never thought about that. wow.
A brand plucked from the fire. Yeah, God saw something in you years and years ago. And, you know, it's amazing how many people have similar experiences to yours, but they don't have that hope. They have a hopelessness because they feel like they're too far gone. They've done too much. They've gone too far. It didn't sound like you went too far. It sounded like God reached down and took a hold of you.
He did. I think if I would have thought defiantly, I think that devil cloud would have charged at the cloud that did the cross. I think I would have died of OD right there or something.
That was your defining moment right then and there.
I think so. I think the defining...
That was your very lowest level, your bottom.
Yeah,
rock bottom.
Me dropping to my knees and asking the Lord for forgiveness. Whoops, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. You went the whole time without bumping it.
I know, I've been right there.
Awesome. That was awesome. Yeah.
That made the difference.
Yeah. And so what's your life like now? Obviously, it must be extremely boring without all the drugs and you must not have any fun at all. I mean, is that right?
I have my church family here. It's a challenge. The devil's still after me every day. There's no doubt. He's after every single one of us. He's not going to slow down until he's destroyed, you know?
So even now, and how many years has it been? How old are you, Ricky?
I'm actually 52 right now.
52. You're a year older than me. So
I was 29
when you gave it all up.
Yeah. So, but then I went back.
Then you went back and you had this back and
times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that in itself is encouragement as well, because I have a stepsister in Washington and she's been battling heroin for many years.
Uh-huh.
And she's back and forth all the time.
Yep.
And so this would be a great deal of encouragement, because you feel like when you fall, then you've done it. It's over. And then especially when you get this pattern of falling, you almost know you're going to fall again when you clean up again.
Yeah.
And it's like this hopelessness that you have, but you're saying that there is hope.
There's hope. God, like I said, I went from 6s to 7s, the 6s to 7s, the 6s and 7s. God is long suffering with us. He don't want anyone to perish. No one to perish.
What does the Bible say? A righteous man falleth 7 times, but riseth up again.
Yeah.
God knows our weakness. He knows who we are. What I was trying to say is God connects with our humanity. He understands who we are, and he really he understands our infirmities.
He loves us. I mean,
he loves us.
He does everything in his power. And can you imagine the pain that we cause him? When he sees us, I mean, it has to hurt him. When he sees us falling again, into our disgust, into our filth, you know what I mean? And that's every time what drugs and alcohol brought to me, you know what I mean? And it was like how I dishonored my father, how many times, and he still is there for me.
He's still there for you. Well, you have children of your own. Yeah. They could, it's very similar. Could they ever do anything bad enough to make their father not love them anymore?
No, I love them dearly.
Yeah, you'd love them no matter what. Now, you're disappointed when they do bad things, but that's different.
Yeah.
That's different than just abandoning, your children altogether.
No, you can't abandon your kid.
You can't abandon. Who, what loving mother or father could ever abandon their child?
You always love them.
And God's love is absolutely perfect in every way, shape, and form. What would you say to people that are struggling with addiction? What's their way out of this?
Find God before he finds you. He found me. And
you're saying it's easier if you search him out?
I think so. Don't you?
The sooner the better.
Yes, that's what I would think. I think it took what it took for me to open my eyes. And I think it would have been I think if I would have thought defiantly, like that cap that I was wearing, would have thought, and that devil cloud would have, I think the outcome would have been totally different.
Yeah.
I humbled myself before the Lord.
That is very important that people need to understand. They need to understand that God is an almighty God. He's a judge over all of mankind. He's the creator of all heaven and universe. This God is magnificent. He's
awesome, man.
I hesitate with the word terrible.
But he is. He is.
He is a magnificent. He's a terrible, but not terrible in the negative.
He can be if we choose that path.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people take his mercy for granted. I think they forget that he's also a God of wrath, and
yeah, he's gonna judge the wicked.
He's going to judge.
And we don't want, and here's the thing: he's made every provision for us not to be counted amongst them.
Oh, look at me! Look how many times.
Exactly.
And if he's doing it for me, he's doing it for each and every one of us.
Well, you know what, Ricky? I smell food.
All right, brother.
Hey, we're gonna make a part 2 with Ricky here. And hey, if you guys liked Ricky's testimony, please give my video here a thumbs up. Give the channel a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video, and we'll see you on the next one because we've got a lot more coming your way. Thanks a lot, Ricky.
You bet. Thank you, Kerry.
All right.
I'm back.
Bye-bye.